a billionaire walked into a diner expecting breakfast. He walked out with a decision that would change a young waitress's life forever. The diner was busy that late afternoon, the kind of place where the smell of fresh coffee mixed with the sweet scent of pancakes and syrup. People chatted and laughed around small tables, the clinking of dishes creating a soft background rhythm. David Lawson sat in a corner booth, trying to make his lunch a little normal for his young son, Ethan. Ethan had always been a sensitive child, and his developmental disability made it harder for him to express what he felt. David wanted to make this outing simple. Nothing fancy, just a quiet meal. But the moment they stepped inside, he knew it would be anything but ordinary. Ethan fidgeted in his seat, his small hands gripping the edge of the table as he watched the other children laughing and playing near the booths. The noise seemed overwhelming to him, and David noticed the anxious look in his son's eyes. "It's okay, buddy," David whispered, placing a reassuring hand on Ethan's shoulder. Ethan nodded but didn't respond, his lips pressed tightly together. David's heart ached as he saw his son's discomfort. He had seen this many times before, moments when Ethan felt lost in a world that moved too fast and expected him to understand too much. That's when Maya appeared. She was carrying a tray of food for another table, moving with the kind of calm confidence that made the busy diner feel just a little bit quieter around her. When she noticed Ethan's small, trembling hands and the worried look in his eyes, something in her softened immediately. She knelt beside their booth, careful not to startle him, and offered a gentle smile. "Hey there," she said softly. "It looks like today's a little too loud, huh?" Her voice was warm, soothing, like she somehow understood the unspoken words. Ethan's eyes met hers for a brief moment, and he didn't turn away. That alone told David that Maya had done something extraordinary. She could reach him in a way few people could. Without asking, she wiped a tear from Ethan's cheek with the back of her hand. Careful not to invade his space, but gentle enough to show she cared. She whispered a few comforting words, not too loud, not too much, just enough to make him feel safe. David watched silently, feeling a mix of awe and relief. He had seen plenty of people interact with children. None had the patience and natural kindness that Maya showed in that simple, quiet gesture. There was no pity, no awkwardness, just genuine empathy. Ethan's face relaxed a little, his small body slowly unclenching from the tension it had held. He even offered a tiny smile, a rare moment that melted David's heart. For the first time that day, David felt a glimmer of hope that his son could feel understood, even if just for a few minutes. He leaned back in his seat, grateful to Maya and curious about the person who could reach his son's heart so effortlessly. David knew his own world was different from this diner. It's different from this waitress. He was a billionaire, used to dealing with high-stakes meetings, investments, and problems that most people could hardly imagine. But none of that mattered here. In this small, ordinary diner, surrounded by everyday people, it was Maya's simple act of compassion that mattered more than any wealth or status. She didn't care who he was or how much money he had. She saw Ethan as a child who needed understanding and gave it freely, as Maya stood to return to her other tables. David noticed how naturally she moved among the customers, always checking on someone, always offering a kind word, never seeming rushed. There was a softness to her, a patience that made the busy, noisy diner feel almost peaceful. David thought about how rare that kind of person was. So often people looked away when confronted with discomfort or sadness. Not Maya. She faced it with warmth. When she returned to their table to refill their drinks, David tried to hide his admiration. He didn't want to embarrass her or make her feel awkward, but he couldn't help thinking about how much of a difference one person's kindness could make. Ethan's small smile had stayed with him. It reminded David that sometimes the smallest gestures were the most powerful. Maya never asked for thanks or recognition. She simply went about her work, helping whoever needed it, as if it was the most natural thing in the world. And that, David realized, made her extraordinary. The moment she wiped Ethan's tear was not just an act of kindness, it was a glimpse into the kind of person she was, caring, genuine, and quietly strong. David finished his coffee, watching his son play with the paper napkin in front of him, feeling a sense of calm he hadn't felt in a long time. The noise of the diner faded into the background as he thought about what he had witnessed. in that small, everyday place. He had seen something rare and beautiful, a person who cared for another without expecting anything in return. It reminded him that life's most meaningful moments often came from the simplest acts of empathy. And so, as they prepared to leave, David quietly left a generous tip, not just for the service, but as a silent acknowledgement of the impact Maya had already made on his son. He didn't know it yet, but this encounter would stay with him forever. And it would lead him to make decisions that could change Maya's life in ways he hadn't imagined. For now, though, all that mattered was the warmth in Ethan's smile, the gentle reassurance Maya had given, and the quiet, extraordinary moment that made an ordinary day unforgettable. David couldn't stop thinking about the small moment in the diner. The way Maya had knelt beside Ethan, wiped away his tears, spoken to him with such gentle care, stayed with him long after they had left. He had seen many people in his life, from business executives to famous personalities, but few had the quiet strength and kindness that Maya had shown in those few minutes. It made him wonder how someone like her moved through the world, touching lives without ever seeking recognition or reward. Back in his office, David tried to focus on work, but his mind kept drifting to Maya and that fleeting moment with Ethan. He thought about his son, how often Ethan felt overwhelmed or misunderstood, and how rare it was to find someone who could reach him with genuine empathy. David realized that in all his wealth and influence, he had never truly encountered someone who had such an intuitive way of connecting with another person's heart. Maya wasn't just a good waitress. She was a person who seemed to see the best in others and respond with care and attention. David began to observe more carefully. He thought about the world he lived in, a place where people often judged quickly, acted out of self-interest, and rarely stopped to consider the feelings of others. Maya's kindness wasn't performative. It was natural. He pictured her moving from table to table in the diner, her calm voice and warm presence making each customer feel seen. He imagined how her empathy affected not just Ethan, but everyone she encountered. It struck him that she had a gift, something far more valuable than money or status. Meanwhile, Maya went about her life, completely unaware of the impact she had already made on David. She continued to work long hours at the diner, juggling multiple tables, remembering orders, and keeping track of customer requests. On the surface, it was ordinary work, but for her, it was also a responsibility. She worked hard to support her family, save for her future, and make ends meet. Every day was a struggle, but she faced it with determination and a kind heart. Her humility and strength were part of who she was, and she didn't need anyone to notice or praise her to keep going. David, however, couldn't ignore the idea that Maya deserved recognition. He wondered about her life outside the diner. Who was she when she wasn't serving tables? What were her dreams, her hopes, the challenges she faced? He began to imagine her at home, preparing meals, helping siblings with homework, perhaps worrying about bills and responsibilities. He saw her resilience, the way she carried herself with dignity even in the face of struggle. It made him feel a sense of responsibility, a desire to do something to honor her character. In the following days, David found himself revisiting the diner, sometimes under the guise of wanting a meal, sometimes just to see Maya again. He watched from a distance, studying how she interacted with the other customers. She treated each person with care, listened patiently, and offered comfort when needed. One elderly man had trouble reading the menu, and Maya didn't rush him. A child spilled a drink, and she cleaned it up calmly, reassuring the upset child. Every action, every word, seemed deliberate yet effortless, full of empathy and grace. David realized that her kindness wasn't occasional, it was who she was as he observed her. David also reflected on Ethan's experience, how rare it was for his son to feel understood, and how precious it was to see Ethan respond to someone with such trust. David knew that in the larger world, kindness like Maya's could be transformative, not just for his son, but for anyone lucky enough to experience it. He began to think about the ways he could support someone like her, someone whose character was a light in a world often overshadowed by indifference. At the same time, David started to imagine what Maya's life might be like if she had opportunities she deserved. He pictured her studying in a quiet room, books spread around her, learning and growing in a way that matched her potential. He thought about how her compassion could extend beyond the diner, how she could help others in ways that mattered, and how much of a difference that could make in the world. The more he thought about it, the more he realized that she wasn't just an exceptional person in her everyday role. She had the potential to change lives on a larger scale. David's admiration grew quietly into determination. He wanted to help Maya not because he owed her anything, but because he recognized something rare and beautiful in her. He thought about how small gestures could create ripples, how a single act of understanding and care could set off a chain of positive change. Maya's actions with Ethan were a perfect example. A small moment of empathy had already affected someone deeply. David wanted to amplify that effect, to give her the chance to shine and grow beyond what life had so far allowed. He began considering practical ways to make a difference. David didn't want to simply give money or hand out charity. He wanted to do something meaningful, something that respected Maya's character and empowered her to achieve her goals. He thought about scholarships, educational opportunities, mentorship, and support systems that could help her fulfill her dreams. The challenge was to act in a way that was sincere, personal, and aligned with the dignity he had seen in her. He knew he had the resources, but he needed the right approach, one that would honor her hard work and compassion. Meanwhile, Maya continued her routine. Unaware of the attention she had drawn from David, she dealt with the daily pressures of her job. The long hours, the demanding customers, and the worries at home. She dreamed quietly about the future, about a career that would allow her to help others more formally, maybe as a nurse, or in a profession that allowed her to extend her empathy in meaningful ways. Life was challenging, but she faced it with courage and a quiet optimism, never imagining that her simple act of kindness toward a young boy could have set in motion something extraordinary. David found himself thinking not just about Maya, but about the idea of influence and responsibility. He realized that his wealth and position gave him opportunities to make a difference, but the choice of where to direct that influence mattered. Maya represented the kind of person worth supporting, someone who could multiply the positive impact on others if given the chance. He imagined what it would be like to see her succeed, to see her reach her potential, and to know that he had played a part in that journey. By the end of the week, David's thoughts had turned into a plan. He decided that he couldn't leave things to chance. He needed to act, but he also needed to act carefully, in a way that would truly respect Maya's character and her hard work. He resolved that his approach would be thoughtful, personal, and meaningful. And as he prepared to reach out to her, he felt a sense of anticipation, knowing that the choice he was about to make could change someone's life forever. The more David reflected on Maya, the more he realized that life's most valuable qualities, kindness, empathy, patience, and strength, were often hidden in ordinary places, like a busy diner on a quiet afternoon. Maya's small gestures had left an indelible mark, not just on Ethan, but on him as well, inspiring a desire to respond with generosity and care. He understood now that true recognition was about more than acknowledgement. It was about providing the opportunity for someone to grow, thrive, and shine. And so David made his decision. He would reach out to Maya, not as a businessman offering charity, but as someone who had witnessed her remarkable heart and wanted to help her reach the life she deserved. He imagined the conversation, the surprise on her face, and the possibilities that could unfold. Maya had no idea, but her quiet strength and compassion were about to set the stage for a life-changing journey that neither of them would forget. David couldn't stop thinking about Maya. Every detail of that afternoon at the diner was vivid in his mind. The soft way she spoke to Ethan, the gentleness in her hands, the natural patience she had shown without expecting anything in return. He had seen many remarkable people in his life, but Maya's kindness had a quiet, unassuming power that stayed with him. It wasn't just about helping a child. It was about the way she noticed, cared, and acted without hesitation. That simple act had left a lasting impression, and David felt a strong desire to know more about the person behind that smile. Over the next few days, David began to observe Maya more carefully, though always from a respectful distance. He returned to the diner, pretending to enjoy a casual meal, but really watching her interactions with other customers. He noticed the way she remembered regulars' orders, checked in on people who looked upset, and carried herself with a dignity that came from both inner strength and resilience. She was always calm, even when the diner became chaotic during the lunch rush. David realized that her patience wasn't just about doing a job. It was part of who she was. As he watched, David thought about her life beyond the diner. He imagined the long hours she worked just to make ends meet, the challenges she faced supporting her family, the sacrifices she must have made along the way. He wondered if she had dreams that were bigger than her current circumstances, dreams that she might feel were impossible because of financial limitations or responsibilities at home. He felt a deep sense of admiration for her, not only for her compassion, but also for her strength, courage, and determination. David began to gather information discreetly. Wanting to understand Maya's situation better without intruding on her privacy, he learned that she worked tirelessly to support her younger siblings, paying bills, buying groceries, and making sure everyone in her family had what they needed. He discovered that she had always dreamed of becoming a nurse, a profession that would allow her to continue helping others in a more formal, structured way. But the cost of education, combined with her responsibilities at home, had made that dream seem distant and almost unattainable. The more David learned, the more he felt compelled to act. He realized that Maya was exactly the type of person who deserved an opportunity to shine. Not because he owed her anything, but because her character and compassion were rare and invaluable. He knew that simply giving her money wouldn't be enough. He wanted to provide her with a meaningful chance to achieve her goals and transform her life in a sustainable way. He wanted to offer her support that respected her dignity and encouraged her to reach her full potential. David started to think carefully about how to approach her. He didn't want to embarrass her or make her feel uncomfortable. He wanted her to understand that he wasn't helping her out of pity, but because he genuinely admired her strength and saw her potential. He considered the impact that even a small gesture could have and realized that this was the kind of opportunity that could change the trajectory of her life forever. For David, this was no longer just about being impressed by someone's kindness. It was about taking action in a way that could make a real, lasting difference. Meanwhile, Maya continued her life, unaware of the attention she had drawn. She went to work each day with the same dedication, balancing multiple responsibilities while maintaining her warmth and kindness toward others. Her dreams of becoming a nurse were tucked away in her heart, quietly fueling her determination, even though she sometimes felt that they were out of reach. Life was hard, but she faced it with courage and resilience, never losing hope and never asking for recognition or reward for her efforts. David thought about how he could create a plan that would genuinely help Maya achieve her dreams. He considered scholarships, mentorship programs, opportunities that would provide her with both financial support and guidance. He wanted to give her a foundation on which she could build her future, something that would empower her rather than make her dependent. He understood that true help meant giving someone the tools to succeed. It's not just temporary relief. The more he reflected, the more David became certain that Maya's potential extended far beyond the diner. He imagined her excelling in school, earning her nursing degree, and eventually helping countless others with the same empathy and compassion she had shown Ethan. He realized that by supporting her, he could create a ripple effect of kindness and care that would reach many people in the future. This thought filled him with purpose and made him even more determined to act. David also reflected on his own life and what had brought him to this point. He had achieved immense success in business and accumulated wealth beyond imagination. But he had rarely encountered moments that truly touched his heart the way Maya had. He realized that life's most meaningful experiences often came from simple acts of kindness and human connection. Seeing Maya's compassion in action had reminded him of the importance of empathy, generosity, and the impact that one person could have on another. He knew he had to be thoughtful in his approach. Maya deserved more than a sudden, overwhelming gift. She needed a plan that respected her character and encouraged her growth. He decided that he would personally meet her, explain the opportunity he wanted to provide, and make sure she understood that it was her own hard work and compassion that had earned it. David wanted her to feel proud and empowered, not indebted or uncomfortable. He imagined the surprise and perhaps disbelief on her face, but also the hope and excitement that such an opportunity could bring. As the days passed, David's anticipation grew. He felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. Knowing that this moment could be life-changing for Maya, he also thought about Ethan, who had responded so positively to her kindness, and realized that the connection she had made with his son was only a small part of the larger impact she could have on the world if given the right support. This added urgency to his desire to help her, as he knew that her character and empathy were rare qualities worth nurturing. Finally, David made his decision. He would reach out to Maya, not as a wealthy businessman handing out charity, but as someone who had seen her extraordinary character and wanted to provide a meaningful opportunity for her to achieve her dreams. He planned to meet her in person, to speak to her honestly and respectfully, and to offer support that would empower her future. He understood that this could be the beginning of a transformation not just for her, but for everyone she would touch in the years to come. In the meantime, Maya continued her routine, unaware that her life was about to change. She carried plates, refilled drinks, smiled at customers, and comforted those in need, never imagining that a single act of kindness toward a small, anxious boy in a diner had set in motion a chain of events that could alter her life forever. Her patience, empathy, and quiet strength had caught the attention of someone who had the power and willingness to help her achieve her dreams. And soon, she would face an opportunity that could open doors she had only imagined. David, on his side, felt a sense of purpose he hadn't felt in a long time. The idea of supporting someone like Maya, someone whose actions reflected true human goodness, gave him a renewed sense of fulfillment. He looked forward to the day he would meet her and present the opportunity, confident that it would be a turning point in her life. He knew that by acting thoughtfully and sincerely, he could help her realize her dreams, honor her compassion, and create a lasting positive impact. David had thought carefully about how to approach Maya. He didn't want it to feel like charity, because he knew that she was proud, hardworking, and independent. He wanted to offer her something meaningful, a real chance to achieve her dreams. And he wanted her to understand that he was offering it because he had seen her heart, her character, and her determination. After a few days of planning, he finally decided to act. He returned to the diner on a quiet morning when it was not too crowded. Maya was arranging tables and serving coffee to a few early customers, moving with her usual efficiency and gentle patience. David waited until she had a moment to herself and then approached her with a calm, friendly smile. He introduced himself, carefully explaining that he was Ethan's father and that he had witnessed how she had comforted his son the other day. Maya's eyes widened in surprise. She had no idea that her small act of kindness had been noticed or remembered in such a meaningful way. David spoke softly, trying to make her feel comfortable. He told her that he had been deeply moved by the way she treated Ethan and how naturally she showed care and empathy. He emphasized that he wasn't there to give charity, but because he had recognized someone rare, someone whose compassion and dedication deserved to be nurtured. Maya listened quietly, feeling a mix of emotions, surprise, disbelief, and curiosity. She had never expected that her simple work at the diner could attract the attention of someone like David, or that it could lead to an opportunity that felt almost too good to be true. David then explained the plan he had in mind. He wanted to fund her education to become a nurse, covering tuition, books, and other expenses. He also offered guidance and mentorship if she wanted it, along with support for her family to ease the financial strain she carried. But he made it clear that this wasn't a handout. It was a recognition of her character, her hard work, and the kindness she had already shown to others. David wanted Maya to feel empowered, not dependent, and he wanted her to understand that she had earned this opportunity through her own actions. Even if she didn't realize it at the time, Maya was overwhelmed. She had spent so many years struggling to make ends meet, quietly dreaming of becoming a nurse, but often feeling that it was impossible. The weight of her responsibilities at home, the costs of tuition, and the constant worry about supporting her family had made her doubt herself many times. Now, standing in front of someone who could make her dream a reality, she didn't know how to react. Her mind raced with thoughts of disbelief, gratitude, and hope. She wanted to ask questions to make sure this was real, but the sheer magnitude of the moment left her almost speechless. David noticed her hesitation and gave her space, letting her absorb what he was saying. He spoke with sincerity, telling her that he believed in her, not because of money or influence, but because of the person she was. He reminded her that her kindness, patience, and dedication were rare qualities that had already made a difference in his son's life. Now, he wanted to give her the chance to use those same qualities to pursue her own dreams and help others in even greater ways. His words carried weight, and Maya felt a warmth and validation she had rarely experienced before. As Maya slowly began to process the offer, welled up in her eyes. Not tears of sadness, but a mix of relief, joy, and hope. For the first time, she felt like someone saw her not just as a waitress or as someone struggling to survive, but as a capable, talented, and deserving person. The realization that her dreams could finally be within reach was overwhelming, but in the midst of it, she also felt an immense gratitude for David's generosity and the way he had approached her with respect and dignity. David assured her that there were no conditions. Beyond her own commitment to her education and goals, she could continue to work at her own pace while studying, and she would have support whenever she needed it. He emphasized that the offer wasn't just about financial help. It was about recognizing her potential and giving her the tools to shape her future. Maya began to see that this was a rare opportunity to break free from the limitations that life had placed on her, and she felt a renewed sense of determination and motivation. After a long conversation, Maya finally managed a smile, one that radiated a mix of disbelief, happiness, and hope. She thanked David, but her gratitude went deeper than words could express. She thought about the years of struggle, quiet sacrifices she had made for her family, and the dreams she had tucked away. Now, those dreams felt alive again. The chance to become a nurse, to help others with the same compassion she had shown Ethan, was no longer just a hope, it was a real, tangible possibility. David, seeing her reaction, felt a sense of fulfillment he hadn't experienced in a long time. For all his wealth and accomplishments, moments like this, where he could make a real, lasting difference in someone's life, were far more meaningful than any business deal or investment. He realized that Maya's compassion had inspired him just as much as he was about to inspire her future. The act of kindness he had witnessed had come full circle, creating an opportunity that would change the trajectory of her life. In the days that followed, Maya began to plan for her future. With David's support, she enrolled in a nursing program, balancing her studies with work and family responsibilities. She felt a sense of confidence and hope that she had never experienced before, and she approached each day with renewed energy. Every time she faced a challenge or obstacle, she remembered the moment David had recognized her worth, and it motivated her to keep going, to push through difficulties, and to believe in herself. Her family, too, felt the impact of the opportunity. The financial strain that had weighed heavily on their lives began to ease, allowing them to focus on supporting Maya and celebrating her achievements. They were proud of her determination, and her success became a source of inspiration for everyone around her. Maya's life was transforming in ways she had never imagined, all because a simple act of kindness had been noticed and nurtured. By someone who recognized her potential, Maya's journey was not without challenges. But the foundation David had provided made it possible for her to pursue her goals with confidence. She felt empowered, respected, and capable of achieving more than she had ever thought possible. The act of kindness she had shown Ethan had created a ripple effect, not only changing her life, but also reinforcing the idea that small, genuine gestures could have profound consequences as she progressed in her studies. Maya continued to embody the qualities that had first caught David's attention: compassion, patience, and dedication. She treated her fellow students with respect, helped those in need, and carried herself with the same quiet strength she had always possessed. Her life was slowly transforming, but the essence of who she was, the kind, an empathetic person who had comforted a young boy in a diner, remained unchanged. Through it all, David maintained a quiet presence, checking in occasionally, offering guidance, and supporting her progress without interfering. He saw the impact of his decision and felt a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing that he had made a meaningful difference in someone's life. Maya's transformation was proof that recognizing and nurturing potential could create life-changing outcomes. And so, a single moment in a busy diner, an act of compassion toward a young boy had evolved into a life-altering opportunity for Maya. She had gone from being a hard-working, struggling waitress to a student with a real chance to achieve her dreams, all because someone had noticed her heart, her character, and her potential. It was a powerful reminder of how empathy, kindness, thoughtful action could change the course of a person's life in ways they could never have imagined. Maya's life had changed in ways she had only dreamed about.
Ow!
But the transformation wasn't instantaneous. It was a steady, powerful shift that unfolded over months. With David's support, she had enrolled in her nursing program, balancing classes, assignments, and long shifts at the diner with a determination she had never fully realized she possessed. Each day was still challenging, but it was now filled with hope and purpose rather than worry and uncertainty. She often thought back to the moment David had approached her, the words he had spoken, and the opportunity he had given her, and it fueled her resolve to succeed. Her routine became a careful dance of responsibility and ambition. Early mornings were spent studying, afternoons at the diner helping customers, and evenings poring over textbooks, practicing skills, and attending lectures. Even the exhaustion felt different. This was not the fatigue of struggling merely to survive, but the tiredness of someone actively working toward their dreams. Each small success, whether it was mastering a new skill, earning a high grade, or receiving praise from her professors, reminded Maya of how far she had come and how much her life had shifted from the uncertainty of before. Maya's family noticed the change too. The financial strain that had weighed heavily on them began to ease, and the atmosphere at home transformed from one of constant stress to one of cautious optimism. Her siblings were inspired by her dedication, and the support she could now provide allowed her parents a rare moment of relief. Maya's success became a symbol of hope and possibility within her household, proof that perseverance, coupled with opportunity, could change the course of a life. Through all of this, David remained quietly present in her life. He did not interfere or micromanage, but he checked in occasionally, offering advice when she sought it, providing encouragement, and celebrating milestones with her. His involvement was subtle, yet profound. He did not want to overshadow her achievements, but rather to provide a steady foundation from which she could grow. Maya often marveled at the way he had approached the situation, not as a patron, not as a wealthy benefactor, asserting control, but as someone who recognized her worth and had given her a chance to flourish. Maya began to see herself differently as well. The confidence that had been buried under years of self-doubt and struggle began to bloom. She spoke up more in class, took on leadership roles in group projects, and even volunteered to help new students struggling with the course material. Her natural empathy, the same quality that had once made Ethan feel safe and cared for, became a guiding force in her interactions with peers and patients alike. She was growing not only as a student, but as a person, learning to trust in her abilities and embrace her potential. The connection with Ethan and David remained an important part of her life. Occasionally, she would meet them for lunch at the diner, a small but meaningful ritual that reminded her of the journey she had begun. Seeing Ethan smile and laugh, knowing she had played a part in making him feel safe and happy, filled her with a sense of purpose. David would often comment on her progress in school, always with encouragement and respect, never condescension. Their relationship was a unique blend of mentorship, friendship, and gratitude that reinforced Maya's belief in the positive ripple effects of kindness and generosity. Over time, Maya began to think beyond her own success. She realized that the support she had received could be a model for how small acts of recognition and encouragement could create monumental change. She started volunteering at community centers and offering guidance to young people who faced challenges similar to those she had once known. Her empathy, which had first drawn David's attention, became a catalyst for her to make a difference in the lives of others, just as he had made a difference in hers. Maya's achievements began to accumulate. She excelled in her coursework, earned recognition from her professors, and developed skills that prepared her to become a compassionate, competent nurse. Each milestone was both a personal victory and a testament to the power of opportunity combined with effort. For Maya, these accomplishments were deeply satisfying, but they were also reminders of the moment when her life had begun to change, the day David had recognized her worth, invested in her future. Her growth wasn't just academic or professional. Maya noticed subtle changes in her own demeanor. She walked with more confidence, spoke with more assurance, and approached challenges with resilience rather than fear. Her perspective on life shifted as well. She understood more clearly how much a single act of empathy could ripple outward, transforming not only the recipient's life, but the lives of many others indirectly affected. This awareness gave her a deeper sense of purpose and strengthened her commitment to use her talents and compassion for the benefit of others. David watched from the sidelines, quietly proud. He had seen many people succeed in business and in life, but few transformations touched him in the way Maya's journey did. It wasn't just about success. It was about character, perseverance, and the way one person's small act of kindness could lead to profound change. Seeing Maya grow, thrive, and carry her empathy forward reassured him that he had made the right decision, that recognizing potential and supporting it with care could indeed create life-changing outcomes. The story of Maya's transformation became a quiet but powerful example of how empathy, opportunity, and hard work could intersect to create extraordinary results. Friends, family, and colleagues noticed the changes in her life. Her confidence, knowledge, and compassionate nature set her apart, and she began to inspire others to believe in themselves and pursue their goals despite difficulties. Her journey became a testament to the idea that even in ordinary circumstances, remarkable change is possible when kindness and opportunity meet perseverance and dedication. Finally, the diner, the place where this entire journey had begun, became a place of reflection and gratitude. Maya continued to work there occasionally, but now with a new sense of purpose. Each interaction with customers reminded her of the path she had traveled. From a young waitress comforting a tearful boy to a determined student and future nurse, the memory of Ethan's small smile and David's supportive presence remained with her, a lasting reminder that the right combination of empathy and opportunity could change lives in ways one could never anticipate. Maya's story was no longer just about her personal success. It had become a narrative of hope and inspiration, showing that ordinary people could possess extraordinary qualities, and that these qualities, when recognized and nurtured, could lead to profound transformation. Her journey illustrated the power of kindness both given and received, and the life-altering potential of someone seeing the good in another person and helping them reach it years later. Maya would reflect on that moment in the diner and the decision David had made to invest in her future. She would remember the fear, hope, and disbelief she had felt, and she would realize that it had been the turning point in her life. Her successes, her confidence, her ability to help others were all rooted in that one extraordinary act of recognition and support. The ripple effect of a simple, genuine act of kindness had not only changed her life, but had set her on a path to change the lives of countless others as well, through her journey. Maya learned that life's most important lessons often came from unexpected places. A diner, a moment of empathy, and a man who chose to act on what he had seen. These small threads wove together to create a tapestry of transformation, hope, and inspiration. She carried that lesson forward in every choice she made, in every person she helped, and in the way she lived her life with compassion, courage, and a commitment to making the world a better place, one small act at a time. Maya had become a living testament to the power of recognition, opportunity, and the ripple effect of genuine kindness. Her story reminded everyone who knew her that extraordinary change could begin with a simple act of empathy, and that those who choose to nurture potential could leave a legacy far greater than wealth or fame, a legacy of hope, courage, and human connection.